we can start. Hi everyone, and welcome to our session, the back to basics session of the Young Scientist Committee. This will be lesson 2 after lesson 1, the amazing lesson 1 that we taught Adobe Illustrator. Now we are talking about how to make an effective scientific CV for the industry and the academia. We have amazing speakers today. We have another session later today or tomorrow, depends where you live. So our speakers today are Dr. Anna Ruiz from Metron Research Group. We have Professor Anya Boisen from DTU in Denmark. We have Professor Avi Schroeder from Technion in Israel, and Dr. Vincent Nebat from Polypeptide Therapeutic Solutions in Spain. I will be your host. We will have moderators, Assistant Professor Anna Malero and Paz Boix, and I'm sure they'll do an amazing job. So let's get started, and we'll talk a bit about what is the YSC, what is the Young Scientist Committee, and what is the CRS. So CRS is the Controlled Release Society, and we, as part of the Young Scientist Committee of this society, are a team of volunteers, and we do a lot of we put out a lot of content for our community, such as networking events. We do professional development workshops, such as this one, and scientific workshops about the subjects that we are dealing with in our society. We encourage you to join us and to be a CRS member. And if you can, another click there. All right, then we have a special promotion for our current CRS members that's registered for this event, and new members that will register in the coming week. We talked to our network of senior CRS members, and they agreed to review your CVs. So this is really a last minute thing that we've done, as we saw that most of you are not CRS members. So the current CRS members who are registered and new members that will register in the coming week will can send their CVs, and we will give further instructions in a further email, of course, and they can send their CVs, and it can be reviewed by a senior CRS member. All right, so let's start a bit about the importance of a good CV. I'm sure you all know why a good CV is important. You eventually want to have a face-to-face interview. All right, that's the whole point of a CV, to get to a face-to-face interview. And so this is really the best way to get it, or one of the ways to get a face-to-face interview is by doing a good job on your CV. All right, sorry for the quality, but I'm not speaking for a long time, so I hope it will be now it will be better. Now you hear me better?
Much better, Leo.
That's good. So some recruitment facts. The first application is received after 200 seconds after a job is posted. Pay attention to that, 200 seconds until the first application is sent. Another click, pause. The average time it takes for a CV, for the initial screening, is between 5 to 7 seconds. It really means that you really need to catch the eye of the recruiter by very quick. And this is what we try to tell you here, how to do that. Unprofessional email addresses, please remove those. Stop using those, because as you see, 76% of these of the CVs who use these are ignored. Next, cover letter. As you can see, not everyone, let's say only 70% read the cover letter. Still, it is important, so please pay attention and use it as a way to describe who you are. And I know you are all very, very beautiful people, but
please do not put your picture in the CV. Okay, just another, you give another excuse for the recruiter to not get, to not look at your CV. And also, another last tip, block your Facebook profile, social network profile from people from the outside that you don't know to look at, because employers look at it. All right, employers look at it, and it's the best way is to just block it and let only your friends in. All right, so last slide for me. Just quick tips from our network that we gathered from social network. Professor Justin Haynes is from Johns Hopkins Medicine. His tip was that he likes to see, first of all, he do a track record of, as you see, accomplishments, innovation, quality of the person. And one nice tip that I like to hear is that he likes links to the PDFs to the papers, to the publications. So please add links. It will be very helpful for the people who sees it. Dr. Lara Mason from Upperton Pharma. She likes a clear and concise layout, and she really mentions the cover letter. So please do a good job on a cover letter. Professor Christine Allen from University of Toronto says that beyond training and publication, I look for evidence of initiative and leadership. Right? It's something that sets you apart from the other candidates. So really, I personally believe that when you send your CV, you really need to think of what makes you special from the other candidates. And so think about it. People in the beginning of the PhD or you have time to work on your special CV. What will make your CV special here? And Mr. Tim Lever from Precision and Nanosystems, he says, don't tell me your skill in a list, show me evidence. All right, it's another tip that you can use. And without further ado, I'll give the stage to Anna, who will present our speakers. All right, Anna.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lior. Then I will just shortly mention some words about our speakers, and then I will let us announce we have with us Dr. Anna Ruiz, who is a PhD and pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamic. She has more than 8 years as one of the modeling and simulation group leaders. And besides that, she's also assistant clinical professor at the University of San Diego. Hello, Anna. Nice to see you. Then we have Professor Anja Boisen from the Technical University in Denmark. She is head of section at the Department of Health at that university, and she's also the head of the Willem Center of Excellence in Intelligent Drug Delivery and Sensing using microcontainers and nanomechanics. And she's also the co-founder of 4 companies, and she's board of several foundations. Welcome, Anja. Nice to see you here too. Then we have Professor of Israel Engineering at the Technion Israel Institute of Technology, where he heads the laboratory for target drug delivery and personalized medicine technologies. He's also co-founder of several startup companies based on his 19 patents. Welcome also, Avi, nice to see you here around. And finally, we have Vicente Niwat, who is also a PhD in supramolecular chemistry and soft materials. He's the Chief Technical Officer at Polypeptide Therapeutic Solutions, and he has more than 10 years experience in the field of nanomaterials and drug delivery systems, both in industry and in academy. So I think, welcome, Vicente. Also, nice to have you here. Thank you very much to all speakers for participating in this seminar. And I think that's enough from our side. We are all willing to see what you have to say for our PhD students, our senior students. Thank you. Anna, would you like to start?
Okay, I was trying to unmute myself. I'm sorry, took me a while.
Ah.
Okay, so yeah,
Thank you.
a few CVs were sent to us as an example. I don't know if the attendees have those resumes to follow along, or I shouldn't mention those. I'm not sure what the situation is with those.
We were going to talk about them in the end
Okay.
of the
Okay.
seminar.
So
maybe just a brief view of what you think is important.
I spent 12 years working as a group leader, heading a group at Pfizer, where I continuously review resumes for new hires. Here at Metrum, I do review resumes, not as much as in my past life. And one of the most important things is please read very carefully what is the job description and what people are looking for, and try to tailor your resume to what the job description wants. Don't have one resume that fits all, because that's not gonna work very well for you. And when many people are applying to the same position, only the people that have the keywords, only the people that show the experience in what this job description is asking for are the ones that have the better chances of being called for a phone screening or for an interview. So it's important to show in your resume that you have the skills required for that job description, and also some sort of summary or statement at the beginning of your resume where you can try to show your interest in that description, your interest in that job, what you can do a good job, and what set you there, what are your motivations. Sometimes you can change people, you can skill people in certain things, but you cannot change people's personality or interest. So having high interest for the job is extremely important, more so sometimes than some skill. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you very much. Then, are you ready?
Anna, who did you call? I'm not sure. Did you call me?
Professor Anna Boisen. Anya Boisen.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry. I lost the connection for a while, just in the middle of my speaking.
Anya, I'm sorry, just before, we just want to say to everyone, if you have questions for our speakers, please write it down in the chat so we can collect them and ask the speakers later in the session. So use the chat for sending us your questions, okay? Sure.
Good. So I'm one of those who spent very little time reading the CVs the first time I read them. So they have to be really easy to read. I do a first screening that's really fast. I look for complete stories. So if you have 2 years where you're not stating what you have been doing, to me that looks really fishy. So I would like to have the complete story. So if you have been on a leave, simply write that you have been on leave. I like that the story is easy to follow, clear dates and years of what you have been doing. I like change of environment. I'm really looking for people who are brave and who try to move to new settings. So highlight if you have been moving around and if you have tried to work in different countries. I look for drive and creativity. And I really also like to see it, not that you state that you are very creative, but more evidence of what you have been doing that shows creativity and commitment. I run a rather big team, so I'm also looking for some sort of signs that tells me that you are also a team player. You can be very good performing on your own, but you also play as part of a team. I look for passion and love for science, and then really a clear track record, depending of course on seniority. So look for publications, conferences, maybe patents, extracurricular work that you've been doing. It all adds up. So it tells a nice story, and I really like it to be very visual. And I actually like to have photos of people. So maybe I'm just the strange one here, but in Denmark it's very confusing.
Thank you very much, Anya. I'm excited about all the questions that we are getting through the chat. Maybe should we move to Avi now, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. Really thank you, Anna and Lior, for arranging this, and really to my colleagues, I'm learning from you how to better screen. I think one of the things I would recommend before you apply is ask yourself, is this really a place you want to work in? Don't only apply because there's so many people out there. Try to apply to the places you really dream of working at. And read about what they do in those laboratories, especially in academia or a job. And you should know what they do. That way in your email, you can also mention something that's being done in that place. And I think when you write that email, which has the CV connected to it, never start "Dear Sir," because that we understand was copy pasted, and we delete it even before we read the email. The CV itself has to be 100% clean. Even one step, one misalignment, you know that that person isn't an accurate person. You had all the time in the world to prepare your CV, so please make sure that it's perfect, and ask your friends and colleagues to go over your CV so that they can see something, that notice something you may have missed. For people that are applying for postdocs here, sometimes there's a tendency to write every paper in preparation that you have in mind. And that's, I think it connects to what Anya mentioned of a record. So having a track record means, please tell us about the 2 papers or 3 papers you have published already, and maybe 1 paper that's in preparation, but 2 papers that have been published and 20 papers in preparation doesn't sound very accurate when you read the email. And it seems that there isn't a good balance between what was done and what's supposed to be done. I think you want to also include some technical skills you have, and I would stop at this point. But again, please keep it as organized as possible so it's easy for other people to follow. Remember, it's someone else from another country many times reading your CV, so try to do that. And I'll just end with one tip. So everyone on this call gets about 300 or 500 emails a day. And many of them are CVs. And sometimes, unfortunately, we just don't have time to go through all the emails. And we may have missed your CV, but we really, really want to hire you. So if we didn't respond, in many cases, it's not because we don't want you or we say you're not good, or that we never say you're not good. It may not just be a fit. But if we haven't responded and you really want to go to that place, don't assume that you have been ruled out. Send the email again in a week and write a polite note about that. Can you please look at my CV? That also shows that you have perseverance and you really want to work in this specific place. And that talks a lot to people that are hiring.
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting point from my side, from my point of view. Thank you very much. Now, Vicent, would you like to finish this section? Your mic is off. It's not working.
Now, okay. So not much to add on top of what my colleagues shared, just a few comments and maybe something that are in line with the questions that are being raised. So I'm also one of the people investing very small amount of time in the first screening of the CV, and I would really make an analogy to an elevator pitch. I mean, you need to capture attention in a very short message. So probably an introductory paragraph that maybe 3 sentences. And what we are looking basically is whether you make the first fit or not. And basically skills, achievements that you need to support them by facts to some extent. Okay, then the structure of the rest of the CV, there are plenty of ways of doing that. I also agree with Anja to make it a story. I like to see where people is moving. Having references, for me, it's important. If you pass to the next stage, because I really like to call, not even writing. I mean, if the reference is willing to have a talk with me, that's even better. And the cover letter. So if you go to the next round, I like to see the cover letters, but keep in mind that the time we will invest in having a look to your CV or your cover letter is directly proportional to the time you have been investing in understanding what are we doing and what are we needing, basically. So basically, make sure that just talking from a small biotech, that your unique selling proposition is very clearly stated at the beginning of the CV. And if you do your job and you do a bit of research on what are we looking for, what I also like is people capable to show what could be upsides, not from the specific positions, but there are some complementary skills that might bring benefit, and that's quite interesting from our side. And something I really like is anti-fragile people. So having people that has no fear to move from field to field, it's something that it's really well seen by our organization. So yeah. So from our side, my side, I think it's.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we have raised a lot of very interesting points now, and I'm really excited to see what our audience is asking. I think we could start with the questions section, unless you would like to add something. Maybe one of the speakers has been inspired by the others and would like to add something. Nothing? Okay, then I think it's time to shift. Thank you, Pat, for showing the first question on the screen. First question is from Barak Drawer. I think it's addressed to everyone. What are your thoughts regarding extra scientific activity? Do you consider this relevant? Who would like to start? Vicente, your mic is on.
I can yeah. So let's try to structure the process. I mean, the first goal of the CV is having your recruiter having a second read to the CV. So at the first glance, it doesn't matter at all. We don't have time to go over that details. It might be interesting when we further consider the candidate. And I think that Angie already brought this to the discussion. We need to understand how these people is playing within a team. So at the end, having some idea of the extra scientific or hobbies might give you an idea, but I never rely on that. So I always prefer to call the references.
Thank you. Do the professors in the academia have a different view about this? Maybe Anya or Avi could comment on this, or Anna also.
Well, I agree. It's not the first thing I look at, but it gives a picture of maybe the whole person. So I think it's good to put it in there, just to see that you're more than work. It shows that you have interest, and it could also be showing some other types of creativity, and it could be something that, and if you're not stating it in the CV, it's something I would ask for in an interview at the end of the interview.
So maybe it's something that would come later on when you come to know better the person, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I strongly agree with Anya. I think that seeing that the person is rounded, for example, a person that is a dancer or plays chess or has another hobby in their lives, of course, you want it to be balanced with lab work and other activities that are professional. But it also shows that the person, and this is important for us because many times we interview people that we don't know, and we want to make sure that they're normal and not someone that wouldn't fit into the culture of the group, because we know a culture is in a research group is way beyond the science alone. It's about getting along with other people. And if you know that a person plays soccer or plays sports and has some other thing that they do, I think it's always good to know as a future employer. And many times it will also help us make a decision.
Thank you. Yeah, very good. Do you want to add something? Should we move forward to the next one? Well, Amarjit Raiput is asking, what is an ideal CV length and how to write heading of CV? What do you think? It depends also in the industry or in the academia. Maybe yes, what do you think?
So to me, the length of the CV is not that relevant as long as it's well organized and I can go to the parts of the CV that I'm really interested. If it's a first screening, I'm gonna look at what is their academic foundation, what type of courses they took, what is their specialty, if they have already performed if they have any job experience in industry, I will go and check those. So sometimes I heard that your CV should be 1 page. I don't really agree with that. Write there as much as you want, but organize it well so I can go to the sections that I'm really interested on, depending on whether I'm doing a screening or you have been already selected and I'm comparing CVs with another 5 candidates.
Mm-hmm. Do you all agree? I've also heard that CV shouldn't be longer than 2 pages, but it's difficult to summarize everything in 2 pages, I guess.
I would say put the important things first, where you studied, of course, the institution, your mentors, then papers and prizes, and maybe courses I would put a little lower down. But first, the really important things that we look at least for graduate student studies, students, what achievements do you actually have?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Would you like to add something or should we move to the next question? Well, Linda is asking, how do we show evidence for creativity or other skills without making our CVs too long? Is making a CV more graphical appropriate? Like a graphical abstract, I guess. Something like that. Anya, please.
I think making it graphical, I mean, yes, if it's not too much, I think it's really a fine balance. I see CVs that are, I would say, too graphical. It's too artistic in a way. So then the context is kind of, I mean, the important stuff is drowned. So it's really a balance. It has to be nice to read and it could be a little visual, but not too much. And how do you show that you are, for example, creative? I think it can be, for example, highlighting that you have shown a different path or you have tried to solve some issues in a different way. You could maybe just write a few sentences about some key publications, how you solve these things. It could be in the way you have addressed certain challenges.
Thank you. Would you like to add something? Aviana, Vicente?
Maybe I will say go for it. Be as creative as you want. That will show me your personality to some extent and that you differentiate from the rest. You look for people with initiative. You look for individual thinkers that can go above and beyond, right? So the personality sometimes transpires when you read the CV. And a CV that is written in a complete different way, more graphical, it tells me a lot about that person. And I really need to get an idea of what person I'm hiring. It's going to be part of my team. I'm going to be working with this person, hopefully for years. So the more I can learn about this person, the better. We'll always look for diversity and people that come to solution from different angles because that makes us stronger. So I like different, you know, that's me.
Yeah. So we have different opinions. So I think it's for all the questions, we will have different opinions. So Yeah, it's difficult to agree in the perfect CV, right? I think it goes very much in the line with what you are all saying. Read very well what you are addressing, what job you are addressing, so you can have the optimal CV. Well, we have more questions. We have a lot of questions. I'm looking at the chat now and I'm a bit overwhelmed. So next question is from Eugen, and asking, all of you mentioned that you don't spend much time reading cover letters. Do you believe that cover letters are not a good way of selecting them?
I would take this one. Maybe I misexpressed myself. I mean, it's not the first thing you look at, because first screening, as we all mentioned, I mean, in our case, we are a small biotech company. We have plenty of things to do. We don't have human resources, so we need to screen the CVs ourselves. So first message needs to be quite evident, and you can do that by being creative in the way you put the CV together. That will catch attention, but you can also do it in a short sentence to catch attention. But the cover letter is definitely an important part of the recruitment process. But as I think Gary mentioned, if we identify that there is a copy paste in there, I would not spend time reading it. I mean, I would read the cover letter if it really shows that you invested some time in learning from us, because then I will invest time as well, you know. And I think the cover letter is a very good way to give us a sense of what are your unique selling propositions, or what are you bringing to the team. And it's a good discussion to try understanding the place you are applying for. And it's a good exercise for us to see that at least you have tried to configure yourself within the company. It's definitely important, but make it personalized and spend time on it.
Thank you very much.
I would just want to say one sentence, please. This is Avi. I think if you get an answer no on you applied, it says nothing about you, and that's really what's most important to remember. Many times we're limited with the number of people we can hire, both in academia and in industry. In academia, each student, each postdoc, each worker costs us a huge amount of funds, and we're really limited with the number of people we have. So even though someone may have a group which looks large, at that time point, he or she may not be able to hire something. So it means nothing about your capabilities. And just continue on and apply to more places. Many groups do very similar things. So again, don't be demotivated by getting a no answer. Just by getting a negative answer. I mean, just continue on trying. Again, it's not about you. In most cases, I would say it's more about the lab that just doesn't have now the capacity to hire.
Thank you. And just a short question from my side to this topic. Would you like to have the cover letter in a separate file, or as the email that you are sending, attaching your CV? It was one of the questions in the chat that I squeezed in.
Email would work equally good than a separate file. That's, I guess, quite personal, but I use the mail as a kind of storage drive, so that's more than fine.
I think it depends on the system that you're using. If you attach it to the email, I mean, some companies have a system where you can attach your resume, you can attach your cover letter. And that way, you know that the cover letter will go to HR, it will go to the manager in charge of that position. If you put it in the email and the email is part of the body of the email and it goes to HR, I'm not sure if it's going to make it to the manager. The HR person will read it. Sometime, if he's very diligent, that person will make sure the cover letter goes to the manager. But sometimes you will miss it. I will say the best way is always attach both, add it to the email body if you want, but if you want to make sure it passes HR in cases that you have HR, right? As Vicente mentioned, not all companies have an HR system for this. But if you wanted to make sure it goes to the hiring manager, I will attach it as well.
Thank you.
Maybe I can add, at our university, we use a common system. So you always need to go into that system and upload all your documents. So nothing is sent directly to me. And then at the end, I log into that system and I see everything. So there it's important that you stick to the file format that you're asked to upload in, and that you're not sending anything important to me, for example, anyone else, because it's lost, it's not being read. So you need, if you're using those systems, you need to stick to the guidelines and not try to upload in any other format or anything, because then it's lost. And your stuff will not be read.
Thank you very much. Good. Then we can move to the next question. This one is from Miguel to Ana Ruiz, asking, as a recruiter, what sections do you actually check which should be mentioned to give an overview of the work?
Okay, well, I'm not a recruiter, but okay. So you read the job description. Let's say I had a modeling and simulation group, right? And when I write the job description of what I'm looking for, this person should have certain knowledge in R, should have certain knowledge in NumMem, should be proficient using LaTeX, for instance. So when you are writing your CV or when you are writing your cover letter, you better make sure you mention those softwares. The first thing I'm gonna be looking for is, do you know how to use them? Okay, if you don't know, if you have absolutely no clue, you took a course of 6 hours one day, just put that there. And maybe something else will catch my attention. Your interest of learning could be very relevant. But if you don't customize your cover letter, your summary, and your CV to those keywords that I wrote in the job description, chances are that you will never be called. Okay, so sections, well, depends of how the job description is written, right? And what type of job you are looking for. For some jobs, if it's a marketing, maybe looking into different sections where you show your ability to network with people, the different jobs that you have done in the past, those may help too. So it's really based on the job description more than one specific section versus another.
Thank you. Well, would you like to add something? No, we move forward. From Ana Claudia Siqueira, we have a question. When sending the CV to human resources or writing a cover letter, if we cannot find who is the hiring manager, is it wrong to start with dear sir, madam? And related to the question, what should the email containing the CV look like? So, who would like to have it?
I would say when I get a dear sir, madam, I delete it automatically. I don't even read the next sentence. It's just I assume that it's not to me, that someone copy pasted 100 to 100 people and sent it. That's my assumption. It's maybe a wrong assumption, but I in some cases it does seem to me like that. So I think one of the jobs is really to go and find the name of that person, write something about what they do in the lab, invest in it. Sending out hundreds and hundreds of emails, I think, isn't the right strategy. The right strategy is to really try and target 10 or 20 labs that you want to work in, and apply there with a very reasoned approach that you thought of.
Yeah, thank you. So it's better to look for the name. Vicente, would you like to add something?
It's the same, I would say. I mean, just modeling it's relatively easy to try and understand who are the decision makers in that regard, but probably it's more difficult when you apply for a large corporation. In that regard, that could be difficult, but do the guess. I mean, if you try at least, you show you made some work. Just have a look at LinkedIn, have a look at in which division are you going to, or is the position launched? I don't know. that could be a way of catching attention as well.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you. The next question is from Ashwini. Is it mandatory to mention grades, class of course, degree that you have passed? Or only recommended? Anya, please.
I mean, if you apply for a PhD position, you need to kind of upload and show your grades as well. At DTU, and I guess most universities, there is requirements on what the grade average needs to be in order to be enrolled as a PhD student. So it's something that I check because, you know, there might be some good stuff in the CV, but if they cannot pass the grade requirements, then there's nothing I can do there. Unless there's a list of publications that might sometimes, you know, lower the requirements otherwise. But so it's important for a PhD position. And then as more senior you become, the less important it becomes.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to recommend one thing.
Would you like to add something?
Just if I can add one thing about that, I very much agree to what Anya said. I think one of the things that makes it hard for us that certain countries have different scaling, different metrics. And sometimes you'll see a grade that in your country would seem very low, but in that country is really very high. And I would recommend if you could also add what number you are in your class. For example, if your grades, your metrics are 71 out of 100, but you're the number one in your class, then that means a lot if you're number one, because the metrics really change from country to country. And it's hard for us sometimes to translate from one metric to another if we don't have the bar within that system. So if you can add any information about that, that can be very helpful to us.
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting point. Thank you. I think we have time for our last question before we can go to review a little bit the CVs that we have randomly selected from those that were sent. So sorry, but we unfortunately don't have really that much time left. We are going to answer the last question from Meron Danforth, who is asking about how long should the intro paragraph at the start of the CV, for example, a couple of sentences, half a page, and how do we not just duplicate the cover letter in this section?
I'll take this one. As I mentioned, in my case, something that can be read in 10 seconds and goes straight to the main points. You need to catch attention. This is your chance to go into the next stage, probably, because if I don't see clear the uniqueness or the points I'm looking for, I would just pass and not continue reading the CV. So half a page, definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
And by duplicating the cover letter, it doesn't matter. This is your first entry. If then you duplicate some things, but at least you got past reading your cover letter.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to add something, Anna, Marie?
So I agree with Vincent. I wouldn't put a half page. I will put a few sentences. I will say focus on your CV more like a motivational statement. What things excite you really of the education and background you have? What are you looking for? It's more like a motivation statement, and work on your cover letter in showing the hiring manager that you do have the skills and you are really excited about the position. So make a summary. I will make some sort of summary emphasizing the key points of your CV in your cover letter, and the summary at the beginning of the CV will be more like a motivation statement.
Thank you very much. So does any one of the speakers would like to add anything? Then I think we should move to the next section of our seminar of today. We asked the participants to send us some CVs, and we randomly selected 3. And we would like to see how our speakers rate them and how would your tips be for improving what they wrote in the CVs. So we have removed the names and all personal data so that we fulfill all requirements. And I think Patsy will show them on the screen. Can everyone read them? I think it's okay, right? The size, it's readable, good. So we have first a CV of a student. Well, we are all looking forward to your comments.
So I guess I can start. I like this resume because there is a summary, what we were saying before, right? A brief summary of what you're interested, what you're good at, what you want to do. The next thing this person presented here is education. It might be just because they don't have any professional experience. I would like to see first your professional experience and after that the education. If there is no professional experience, sure, right there, the education. I like the fact that also this person presents the dates for each single thing. Sometimes when they don't have dates associated to the different things, it's hard for me to follow what they did during this period of time. Where were they? So I like the fact that there are dates, accreditation, teaching experience is all good. Our awards and achievements, I will place it at the end too. And the professional skills. Now, I probably bring that first, since there is not a professional experience, bring the professional skills first. And other than that, I think this CV is okay.
Thank you. Anna, present, please.
I totally agree with Anna. I like the summary because it's clear, concise to the point. I mean, in very short time you can get a good idea on whether it fits to your needs or not. And I also prefer to have either the professional skills or the most relevant experience to the position at the second probably position. But I completely agree, and probably what I miss is just having some references.
So, in this sense, could you go first through a CV of someone you already met before, for example, in a conference, or that you know the supervisor, or this kind of?
It's easier. I mean, if I know the references, the feedback is much clearer. You will get a much better picture of the professional skills, but also the social skills, which is also part of it.
Thank you. Anya, would you like also to comment something about this?
I agree with what has been said. I mean, to me, when I read the summary, it looked like someone who were kind of in between industry and academia. I would make the summary more, and also the ordering, which has been mentioned already, more targeting industry then. So putting teaching and guidance of students as some of the last things, maybe phrase it differently. So you're used to guide other people and you love training and teamwork and things like that. So you target it more to the industry. And if you know where you are applying, making it even more specific, because right now it seems like someone who apparently is in academia and still somehow has one foot in academia. I would try to highlight all the things that are pointing towards industry more strongly than it is here.
Good point, thank you. Avi, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think that there's some senses that we see almost on all the CVs today, high personal abilities, including that. So I think that it goes without saying, and maybe adding technical skills that already appear later on in the CV, bringing them also forward, because people are looking also for those technical skills. And unfortunately today, almost every CV I get, I'll have the sentence of the high personal abilities. I never saw someone saying, I'm terrible with people. I don't get along. I need a job that I sit in a dark room alone. So I would use that space. The CV, I have to say, the CV is written beautifully. It's really organized. This is a CV I would look at for sure. I would maybe put up front, if it's for industry, for one of the companies we're associated with, I would just write the skills because I have to look for them in the second page, and that may be a bit harder. But it looks really good. I mean, really good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the layout is definitely nice. Thank you very much. Should we move to the next? Pat, please, could you show the second, sorry. Pat? Thank you very much. Anna?
Okay, so we are missing a summary here, as we mentioned. As I said before, I will put professional experience prior to education. The recommendations, they will be providing those upon request. And this is a very tricky one. And I will recommend to whoever is applying to a position, if you are gonna place people that is gonna be your reference, talk to them before you place their names there. I mean, I have run in a few occasions that the references were not aware that they were listed in somebody's CV. And instead of getting a good recommendation, it has had the opposite effect. So recommendations are great. I agree with everybody that mentioned that recommendations are important, but you need to give some heads up to the person that you are listing in your resume. Sometimes you don't want to give a heads up because it's confidential that you are applying, and that's why you write that sentence at the end that they will be provided upon request. So if you are really considered as a candidate, you are willing to open this confidential thing that you have going on to some people that you are close to. Now, remember, your reference are always going to be people that you are close to. How much credit I give to those? I give some credit. I like to have a conversation with these people because I always learn something. But yes, I like the fact that this person indicated that the reference will be provided upon request. I like the fact that this person have a LinkedIn account and is showing it there, so you can go and check how many people they know, how many people they have contacted in the past. That is also a good thing. And again, this person mentioned dates for everything that they do, which I think is fundamental. And that's it. Those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Vicente, please.
I totally agree. I mean, I will add the summary, also professional experience, and if you can order it in, you can place it in a relevance order to the position that makes things even easier. And not much to add. I like also LinkedIn. It's also nice to have, so you can track interests, contacts, or mutual connections. That's also sort of a recommendation, actually.
Very good. Thank you. Anya, would you like to add something?
Yes, I think it's been said. To me, it's a bit unclear. It's a bit messy. Maybe, for example, the projects undertaken, I was kind of confused. I would list it more, give it some topic names so you know what you're looking for, instead of projects undertaken. That doesn't really mean anything in itself. So I would structure it differently, so it's easy to see when you review it what's coming now.
Thank you. Avi, would you like to finalize with some comments?
Yeah, I think the CV is organized really well. My line broke in the middle, so I may have missed some of the comments. I do have one point. So there are, at some of the end of the sentences, there is a dot. In others, there isn't. So I would say that if you put a period at the end of a sentence, for example, here at the 84.9, there is a period. 2019 semester there is, but in other ones, lab cloning and none. I would try to keep it as coherent as possible. I mean, sizes of fonts should be exactly the same, and if you put periods at the end of sentences, for example, 2016 till today, Technion, you have 84.9, a period there. The Ord Eben, there's no period at the end. I think these are things that, from colleagues of mine, I know that can really be a decision point for them. And I would say for a person like this, I wouldn't want that to be a decision point based on that. Everything else, someone here won a gold medal. I think I would highlight that. It's hidden almost inside the text. One gold medal, I maybe write the gold in capital G, just so our eyes go over it. I think we need to always remember it's painful, but it's a painful reality for all of us. It's what Lior mentioned in the first slide, that usually people overlook the CV the first time only for less than 10 seconds. 10 seconds. It's very painful. You work hours making this, days sometimes, and it's your whole life inside technically, but that's the reality that people that, and so people are looking for what stands out, and sometimes these things stand out. But I would say aside from that, it's really good.
About that, Anna, sorry, just one.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On the professional experience, one thing I also know with my previous comments, if you can put numbers, measurables, that's also a way of selling yourself. It's easy to claim having skills in HPLC, that's fine. But if you have some accomplishment, if you solved in the past important problem in the lab, putting in place HPLC systems, developing X new methods within X months. That's important. Not overselling yourself and be careful on generating too high expectation. But if you can put the numbers, that's definitely helping.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have this last CV selected, which was interested in both academy and industry. Would you like to shortly, because we are running out of time, review a little bit about this one, please? Anna, would you like to comment first, or?
I suppose the happy face is because a picture was there, correct? I will not present pictures, and maybe it's because I'm in US. I don't know. Listen, my experience here in US, and it's the only experience I have, to be honest with you, I don't recommend you to post your picture, even if you are a very good-looking person. Don't do that, because they say that there is no discrimination, and there's not discrimination at so many levels, but appearance make a difference. So nobody needs to see your picture. Don't show the picture. Yes, you have a good summary presented there, sure, but it's okay. I like the fact that this person had put volunteering positions. I like to see that. Let's say that you have been the manager of a soccer team. I will think, wow, this person doesn't mind to deal with pesky parents. That's great, right? So it's good to know how your social skills are and your ability to communicate with others. And being a good communicator is going to take you a long way in any position that you have in industry. Sometimes it's going to take you further than your skills, right? Your ability to do the actual job. I mean, social skills, soft skills are key. And sometimes showing volunteer positions, you are letting me see your soft skills. So I like that. I like your research experience and your education, but I will put, as I mentioned before, the work experience prior to those. He has something here, or she has something here that is called skills. I don't know if that will get lost in the resume if you put them as skills. I will try to fit those skills within your work experience and your research experience instead of a separate section, because as mentioning before, you sometimes don't spend that much time in one resume. So you go to research experience or education or work experience and you stop there, right? If you don't find in those three sections what you are looking for, you're not going to look any further. And skills by itself as a section, I'm not sure is the right way to organize that. So that would be my only comment.
Thank you very much. Well, Vicente?
in line, just changing the disposition of the sections, and I also fully agree with Anna. Skills and work experience or relevant work experience for the position needs to be within the same paragraph. I like that we have measurables, and in the CV we have specifics in terms of if you go to the skills research, it's perfectly clear cell culture with which cell lines, which kind of methods or
Great.
I like to see facts and numbers and going into specifics, especially on the skills.
Thank you. Anya, would you like to add some comments?
Well, I think it's a beautiful CV. It's very well structured and it's very easy to read. The layout is nice and it's a little different. And it's clear to see also, for example, you can see Stockholm, Sweden, and then you can see Israel. So very fast to see that this is a person who's been moving around as well, just by the layout. You don't have to search for it. It comes to your eyes immediately. So I think it's well structured and nice layout.
Thank you so much. And Avi, could you like to finalize commenting this one? Oh, we lost the CV.
That's okay. I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Avi?
I have to say. Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Yeah. I just say I think it's really nice. It's a surprising CV, and I agree. You see international experience. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So thank you very much to all our speakers for your time, for your effort. It's been a great time that we have spent organizing this seminar, and I'm really happy that you were really so keen on participating as soon as we asked you. Thank you very much. And now I will give the word again back to Lior, who is going to close this session. Thank you very much.
All right. So first of all, thanks. Thank you, the speakers. I join Anna in thanking them. Of course, thank you, Anna and Paz for doing all the moderating and controlling the presentation and your questions. So really great work here. A few last things. In 11 hours, we'll have our second session, and this will be with different speakers, and that's how you'll get even more insights and more opinions on what is an effective CV. So we encourage you to join us. Even if you didn't register, we'll send everyone who registered to even only session 1 the links, and you can join. Next week, we have YSC Back to Basics Statistics webinar, and you are all free to join it. You can look up more details on social media. You have all the ways here on the screen. And lastly, I would like to thank CureVac, our sponsor, for sponsoring the Young Scientists events. They help us create these networking and learning opportunities, and we thank them a lot for their sponsorship. So thank you for being here with us, and we hope to see you in our next session. Goodbye. Thank you all.
Goodbye. Thank you.